All right, so we've mentioned it, the Praetorian Guard scene, the throne room scene with Snoke. I've said that, you know, Rey leaves Octo. She goes to the First Order to meet Kylo to try and save Ben Solo. This is the pivotal point in the film. This is what the entire film hinges on. It is one of the biggest moments in Star Wars history. It has revelations that we'll probably never ever see again because of the impact it has. It's the first time, not the first time, but the real first time we see Snoke in flesh kind of acting out other than before in the film for a few seconds. And Kylo takes Rey, brings her to Snoke. Snoke does the scene from the trailer where he basically has a giant force choke on her. In the air, she's screaming her head off. This is where Snoke asks Kylo to kill her. He pulls out his lightsaber just like he did with Han Solo. He has it right in front of her. She's pretty much saying, "I can save you, Ben. I can save you, Ben." And with his left hand, he's pulling the trigger on Rey's saber, which is sitting next to Snoke. Twist it, and right through the gut goes the saber to Snoke. Cuts Snoke in half. No more Supreme Leader Snoke. From that moment on, it is Praetorian Guard versus Reylo.
Oh my
the only time I will ever use the term Reylo.
Oh my god.
Praetorian Guards versus Reylo. They are in the center. The 8 guards are coming directly after them. It is a beautifully crafted shot. The choreography, the way it's set up, the camera angles, just everything about this scene is absolutely incredible. This is the moment where Brian got up and yelled, "What is going on?"
That's the same
This
moment.
is like,
dude, I got out of my. I was like, "Oh my god!"
This scene will go down in Star Wars history, not just because it is straight nerdgasm, but because of what it means going forward. Before we get to that, let's talk about just how amazing it was. 2 very important aspects of this fight. 1, Rey drops the lightsaber and cuts a guard in half.
Oh my god.
Then she presumably throws it across the room to Kylo, who stabs a Praetorian Guard in the head to save his life.
That's not even, there's so much more moments.
And then,
too.
yeah, I mean, afterwards, they end up fighting over the blue lightsaber.
Yeah.
And their power is so strong it pushes them back. They tear the saber in half. It's so hard to talk about because I don't really have words for it. Like I'd rather do it on paper because it's so easier.
It's the best scene ever.
Yeah, I think this is the moment where Brian said this is the best movie of all time.
Yeah, it could have ended right there and I would have been fine with it, just because it was just that good.
Going right into episode 9.
Oh yeah, give me that. Just the way they were fighting back to back. The Praetorian Guards, who've just been looming in the background, looking like badasses, and there's 8 of them versus 2, and they just... It's amazing. It's the best scene, to me, in Star Wars, ever.
I've been struggling with that.
I have not thought of a better scene yet.
Well, I think it may be the best scene because of what the characters mean to us.
Yeah.
Oh, like, I just love how they did it. How they...
Well, we have this, like... Never before have we been attached to 2 new characters so quickly, like Rey and Kylo.
Yeah,
like they've become like some of the best characters in
that's
the history.
Thing. I don't think we ever talked about seeing them fight side by side in this movie.
No,
like we never even speculated.
That was never.
We talked about them maybe teaming up, but we never talked about them 2 in an action scene together, and it straight up happened right in front of our eyes. But for me, it's him killing Snoke was the WTF moment, and I was so happy.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
I was so happy.
Now, what is that? Because you don't want to know Snoke, or
look? I think Snoke looked great. I think his scenes were great. His dialogue was great. The way he just slaps everybody around, like Kylo and Rey. Like nobody is as strong as him in the Force, like other than Luke, obviously. But. And don't get me wrong, part of me wanted to see Snoke, be the big bad through the trilogy and, figure out who he is, where he's from. But we didn't get that. And like I said with Luke, how they didn't do what I was expecting, but I still loved it. This is for me, after seeing it happen, this is the best possible outcome with Snoke ever because I was so... And I didn't know that I would be so happy that Snoke died until it happened. The moment it happened, I was overwhelmed with joy. I was like, yes. I was like, yes, get this guy out of here.
Because
like, it's
Kylo. It's Kylo.
He's the supreme leader.
Yep.
And it's like they tried to, even in The Force Awakens, and he's still the whiny kid in a way, but they portrayed him like that, and this was him getting past
maturing.
That. No, I'm not the whiny kid. Look what I just did to you. Because if Snoke was so powerful,
how did
he would have seen that coming.
Yep.
So he tricked him. And what do we always... And people are speculating about this, but I do think Snoke was a Sith. And he had the rule of two with him and Kylo. Because why would Kylo say, let it go? The Jedi, the Sith. Like, he said that because maybe Snoke was trying to push the Sith ways onto Kylo. Who knows? Maybe we'll never know whether that's true or not. Mm-hmm. But anyways, my point being is that what did the Sith do? What did the apprentice to the Sith do? Their ultimate goal is to become more powerful than their master and slay their master.
This is the first time we've ever seen an apprentice kill their master.
See it on screen because we know
with a lightsaber.
Because we know Palpatine killed Plagueis.
Yep.
Like supposedly.
Yep.
And so it's just all kinds of crazy. I mean, and Vader killed Palpatine. So.
He did.
Yeah.
He did.
So
sure, it's true.
So and now Kylo killed Snoke. So it's like,
and
it's kind of cool.
I feel the same as you. Like I'm happy that it happened, but at the time I wasn't happy that it happened because I didn't know what was going to happen with Kylo. Obviously.
Oh.
But I was happy because Snoke was a bust. His character was a bust. Like he didn't do anything in this trilogy really or these movies to me. I felt like they underused him.
I think that's what they were doing. I don't think they ever made him important because I don't know if they planned this from the beginning, but either way, like I was just so happy that he was out of there.
I just felt like, well, I agree with that because I felt like they built him up so much, and then he just kind of like disappeared, like he was just gone like that. Because even before this film was released, like Andy Serkis was saying, oh, he's more powerful than Palpatine and Vader, like, and that may have been true, obviously, but that means that Kylo is more powerful than all of them.
Yeah,
we have to put all the pieces together, but it does mean great things for Kylo because he has now gone to a place that nobody has gone to before.
He's the leader. Vader never reached the level of supremacy that Kylo's at right now. I'm not saying he's more powerful than Vader. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying Vader was never the leader of the Empire.
Well, in that scene where he tells Hux Supreme Leader, like, and he's like, I'm the Supreme Leader, like.
But, I mean, we talked about this before, Brian. Kylo Ren was my favorite new character going from The Force Awakens, and he became my favorite new character, like, even more so. Like, he
became crazier after that.
He's my favorite character in Star Wars right now. Like,
agreed.
Going forward. Like, not saying I like him more than Luke or Obi-Wan or anything like that, but I'm saying, as far as everyone who's alive and going forward right now,
because we don't know what's going to happen with him.
It's Kylo Ren.
He's so unpredictable.
I love Rey, don't get me wrong, but it's Kylo Ren. Like, he's so interesting.
For me, I was disappointed that they killed Snoke because I wanted to know more, but I'm not disappointed at the same time because it just shows you how evil Kylo Ren can get. And he needed it because you almost kind of always felt like he's always going to be chasing the coattails. He's never going to be able to do it. But to unexpectedly kill the big bad who you don't... I never saw that coming.
And here's the thing.
I never saw
nobody in the First Order knows he killed him.
Yeah.
He told Hux that Rey killed him.
So how powerful does Hux and the rest of the First Order think Rey is now?
Oh, I would...
She's scary, dude.
Yeah.
Well, because think about this. To Hux, Rey came in there... killed Snoke,
knocked out Kylo,
killed all the Praetorian guards. Like, what? Like, imagine if you're Hux. You're like, what the hell? What are we going to do against this girl if she took out you, Snoke, and the Praetorian guards? Like, come on. It's crazy. Even though she's not that powerful.
She's damn powerful.
She's pretty freaking powerful. But
the action scene is amazing.
That whole sequence, that whole 5-10 minutes, whatever it is.
I love how right after he kills Snoke, and then it slows down for a second, and they're back to back. And then it speeds up and they just start taking him out. And at one point, and it goes to show that Kylo is more combat trained than she is with the lightsaber because Kylo's fighting 3 of them at once. While
she's only fighting one. Yeah.
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah. No, he's definitely... You could tell, like, they did that on purpose.
Yeah.
Because he's had the training, obviously.
Exactly, yeah. She might... It's arguable to say, like, when it's all said and done, she could possibly be more powerful than him in the Force. It's arguable, but like combat training right now with a lightsaber, it's Kylo. Like, and they showed that when he was fighting 3 guards, she was struggling with 1, even though she won.
I'll go. I mean, I'll step in the theater just to watch that scene any day.
Oh my god,
Any day.
It's incredible. It's instantly top 5 Star Wars scenes, like no
easily.
question.
Easily.
Challenging the
my
number
number
one.
one.
Because no, you got to think about it, man.
I have.
I'm not ready to say that that's the best scene in Star
I
Wars
am.
ever, but it's definitely top 5, no question.
It's the best of him because he's so dark. Brian is the Sith of Apocalypse.
Oh, I didn't care about it being dark. It was just the way it was shot, the slowing down.
I'm ready to say it's top 3, but I gotta think about it.
You're gonna end up saying it's.
No, I will, but I just can't jump to conclusions that fast.
All right, well, we can talk about this scene all day. Obviously, we probably will at some point in other videos, but let's take a step back and talk about a brand new character that we were introducing in this film. Vice Admiral Holdo, I mentioned her earlier, played by Laura Dern. A very interesting and fun addition to this movie because she is so different. She was basically, just as Poe is now, she's basically an apprentice of Leia. Not in the Force, obviously, but in politics.
Yeah, in politics.
How to become a leader in the military, etc. She had a big role in this movie and had a big impact because of a certain moment that happened. But initial reactions to Holdo, what you were thinking of her as you watched the movie, kind of how it turned out or how it played out with her character. And we have a tie to her personally because we've actually read her in canon.
Yeah.
And so, Brian, initial reactions to Holdo and kind of what you thought of her as she played out.
I went into it not liking her. I was like, who is this purple, pinkish haired chick? She seems annoying. She seems stuck up. And then I started watching it, and she still was annoying a little bit at first, kind of trying to be taking over. But then she really grew on me throughout the movie and ended up being one of the characters I enjoyed the most, of the new characters at least.
Did you read Leia, Princess of Alderaan?
Yes, I read it. So I know all that background and stuff.
That's crazy.
Couldn't believe that it was the same character.
Yeah,
I
me
know.
neither. The first time I had no idea.
Yeah.
And then going into the second time I knew, and it changed things.
But you could see it from the way they described her from the book. She's this kind of weird, does her own thing type character, hence the purple pink hair. But she's super smart, and she's super tactical, and she knows what she's doing, and that's why you find out Leia chose her as her second.
And that comes from Leia, yeah.
And it comes from the book, and it shows in the movie. So I ended up really liking her story, and she played a huge part in the movie. I honestly, obviously this is a spoiler at this point, and I was disappointed they killed her off so quickly, because she was a great character, but the way she goes out is bad.
That's one of the best scenes in the movie
It
alone
really is.
because they have no music.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
it goes just plain
It's
silent.
it's
just
silent, and
you see the,
we know that
Yeah.
they hyperspeed. She takes the final Resistance cruiser, hyperspeeds through the entire First Order's fleet, the
So
last
they
Juggernaut,
can get
I believe.
away,
Or
yeah,
not Juggernaut, the Dreadnought Juggernaut.
so the Resistance
No
can
shit.
live.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And personally for me, I was kind of iffy on her to begin with, but like Brian, she grew on me, but she grew on me a little bit faster than Brian probably, than she did for Brian. But what I liked about her so much is that she's the perfect counter and lesson to Poe, because it showed us that Poe wasn't ready. He wasn't ready for leadership. And then once
She played a lot into Poe's story.
Once Holdo did what she did, Poe's like, okay, I get it. I understand. And that's when the moment when Leia's like, don't look at me, follow him, happens. So she had a huge impact on Poe and the Resistance going forward with her actions. Obviously, someone who sacrifices themselves for the greater good is a hero in anybody's book. And Laura Dern, she's absolutely fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
From Jurassic
She's
Park
great, yeah.
to everything she does. But yeah, like Brian, she's weird, she's wacky, she's different to Star Wars, which makes her so fun.
They set her up in that Leia novel so perfectly, because we didn't know who she was, because they didn't spoil. They never spoiled. They never revealed that before the movie. But if we were smart, we would have remembered the last name, Holdo. But I just remember Amelin is whatever her first name was. But yeah, she's just weird, kooky character, but she was a big part of the Leia novel. So they set that up intentionally because they knew, and it was Road to the Last Jedi, Princess Leia of Alderaan. You know what I'm saying? So Yeah, so she... Yeah, it was crazy. I ended up liking her character a lot. And I thought the performance was really good. Like, it's different because you don't want all these characters that are the same. So it's like, the energy that she's projecting off screen is like way different than Leia's, than Poe's, than everybody else's.
Well, and what makes the performance so good is that, and this can be argued back and forth, but the role didn't really call for a ton.
Yeah, no,
but it's the way that she plays her, and she kind of brings out her own style in the character.
And that line that Leia gives explains her behavior throughout the whole film. She says she was, what did she say? She was more concerned about doing the right thing than seeming like a hero.
Yeah.
And then she does that, and I'm like, oh, that's so beautiful, the way Leia says that line, and then she does that, and it's like, I know we didn't have a lot of time to get attached to that character for maybe the sacrifice to mean a lot, but I don't feel like you had to, because any human being doing that, like, is like, wow, like, you just made a huge sacrifice just so these people can live on.
Was I the only one that for a little bit thought that she was going to end up being a bad guy?
I thought that for a second.
Just like
I never crossed my mind.
I kind of got like she's
like a mole type.
Yes, that she was trying
to play it that way.
Yeah.
Trying to stall for the First Order to get them, but then.
But you realize what her plan was. It was for everybody else to escape.
You learn she's doing this and teaching Poe at the same time, and it grows his character by.
Well, and I love when they when Poe's knocked out from Leia's taser, and they go. They say something, they go, and Laura Dern's like, I like him, and she goes, oh, that's why I like him too.
Yeah, me too. But it's so, knowing what we know from the novel, and that last moment between Leia and Holdo, like, that makes that moment so much more meaningful, because, look, Leia's lost her husband, she lost her son already to the dark side, like, she lost her parents, everybody, and, like, that's her best friend.
Her brother hasn't been around.
That's her best friend since she was 15, and she lost her too, so, like, that made that moment so much better to me.
Yeah, so at this point in time, we see that, so we have Finn and Rose, they're on the mission from Poe. He sends them on a spy mission, basically, and the idea of this is that they're trying to get not a tracker, they call him a codebreaker? Codebreaker to break the hyperspeed tracker that is on the Dreadnought, and they're going to the Canto Bight, the city we've heard so much about, the Casino City, and all of the the images, and they have a novel out about Canto Bight now, and so Finn and Rose, played by Kelly Marie Tran, we obviously have Jen Boyega, they venture to this planet, and they have a kind of a little adventure, a very different tone to this film. Personally, for me, Canto Bight was very hyped up, and there wasn't a lot to it in the movie. It kind of came and went very quickly, but I get that it was more about the journey for Finn and Rose at that point. I just wanted to see more from Canto Bight, but again, it leaves the door open for possibilities down the road. But it's a cool scene because it's different. You have the animals, the horse-like creatures that they're saving. They find Benicio del Toro's DJ, who isn't the real codebreaker they were looking for, but they find him. And so, I mean, kind of going off note here, but the story for Finn and Rose in this one, it's very different from everything else going on in the movie. Did you like this kind of third centerpiece going on in the film? Did it fit along with everything going on? And kind of how it wrapped up towards the end, how they got captured by the First Order?
I could have personally done without the Canto Bight. I thought it was the weakest part of the movie.
Just because it was, like, tonally different? Like, tone-wise?
I just didn't like it.
Okay.
I mean, I went into it kind of thinking this scene is weird. It's not... to me, the biggest thing of people saying, oh, this isn't Star Wars, was this part. I didn't really care for it. I did enjoy them going around on the
animals.
The animals.
Yeah.
But the whole casino and all that part, like, it just wasn't entertaining to me. I thought it was boring and kind of took away, and they were kind of not desperate, but trying to find a way to put Finn's in the movie, and this was the best that they could come up with.
Yeah, I didn't mind it as much as a lot of people. Like, everybody's saying that's the worst part of the movie. And while I did, it probably was one of the weakest, but I didn't mind it as much. Like, I feel like So we saw the cantina scene in JJ in the Force Awakens, yeah. And it was Moscanada's watering hole or whatever. But it's basically a cantina scene. So this was Rian Johnson's version.
This was
of
the
that.
cantina scene,
But,
yeah.
and I've been looking forward to this because I wanted to see a casino in Star Wars, and we saw that in Bloodline. There was a casino scene, but that casino seemed more like a dirty,
like a scoundrel.
Yeah, exactly.
Casino, yeah.
And it felt like a cantina, but a casino. And I get what they were going
This
for.
felt high class.
I liked the high class part and how
Yeah.
these people got rich off selling weapons. I thought that was actually really intelligent because we've never seen that part of the world.
Yeah, like
in Star Wars.
how do the Resistance and First Order get their stuff?
How does the Empire ever got
Yeah.
weapons? And in real life, that's weapon sellers get rich. Like, I mean, and look at like Tony Stark in the Avengers. Like, that's how he got rich from selling weapons. Like, that people get rich that way. And I liked that element of it. But I feel like ever since, Star Wars, or ever since, I guess, since Disney had Star Wars, like Force Awakens, I mean, not so much in Rogue One, but also in The Last Jedi, is like, so George Lucas had this iconic cantina scene in A New Hope, right? It's one of the most memorable scenes in all of Star Wars. Had all these weird creatures, and they keep trying to recreate that. And so
I don't think you need to.
So The Last Jedi is like, let's have this crazy casino with all these weird looking creatures, and some of the look, and I get it. It's Star Wars. It's a galaxy far, far away. There's different aliens everywhere, but it's like some of the creatures were unnecessary to me. Like
there were some ugly ass.
That's what I'm saying. When they're jumping with the horses, and that one lady who's like, oh,
yeah,
like that was unnecessary.
Yeah.
Like why does it have to be so weird and out there and kooky? Like I don't know. I don't mind it as much as most people, but it's like it just felt unnecessary to me. But I did like I liked Finn and Rose. And I like
their relationship's good.
Yeah. And I thought it made sense because everybody's complaining like, why did she fall in love with him? She was a fangirl. Like, imagine if a girl like in our era met her hero, like, and then got to go on a journey with him. She's more inclined to fall in love with him a lot quicker.
Jake
so
with John Campea.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it made sense to me. People, and I don't think people think about that. So, yeah, it was. I didn't mind it as much. Like, the setting was the disappointment, but what the characters were going through was cool.
Well,
and it set up one of my favorite parts is the kid.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that it came back.
Like,
it
but
came
we
back
didn't
around.
know that it was setting that up.
It came back around
because that kid, like, he helped them get out and stuff like that, and it's like that. The end tagline scene at the end of the movie was amazing to me.
Well, and here's a cool little canon nod, but that name has been mentioned. The kid's name has been mentioned in Star Wars before.
Does he have a name?
I actually found the name.
He's an Imperial. His father was an Imperial.
Wait, what?
His name's Blagger.
It's
Blagger.
Wait, how do we know his name though?
Because
it was a book. It's in
the visual
dictionary of The Last Jedi, but his father's name was in.
I have the name. It's Tamiri Blag.
Yeah,
the name of the kid.
But his father's name is he is God. Where is it from? Oh my God, it's from a novel, and I forget what.
It was Imperial though.
He was an Imperial officer.
Okay.
And so it's basically just he's a son of an Imperial, and it seems like his father, after the Empire died or something, may have gone on like in a binge run and he got dropped off him because he can't bite.
Yeah. Possibly.
So.
And I don't know about you guys, but I do want to see that kid eventually somewhere down the road.
Well, and here's the thing, like whether or not that specific kid turns out to join the Resistance or be a Jedi or whatever, the meaning behind it is much more significant because it shows that you don't have to be someone to be you don't have to be anyone to be somebody. It shows
like that there are more Force users out there than we think. We think, oh, it's only Luke, Kylo, Snoke, and Rey. No, there's tons of Force-sensitive people out there. They just don't know it. Look how long it took Rey to figure it out.
Exactly, yeah. So, like you said, it'd be cool to see that kid come back. Whether or not it comes back in the next movie or the movies down the road. But it is a cool little tease for us fans.
I think it's possible, because I think that kid's going to go on for the rest of his life trying to join the Resistance.
Yeah, he has that ring now, which Rose gave him, and he saw the Millennium Falcon hyperspeed in space above him, and so...
I know this is towards the end of the movie, but sticking with these characters, one part that I always was trying to figure out was when he's telling the story of how Luke was on Crate and defended like that, how does he find that out?
I
guess
don't think
word
he was
just
telling
spreads.
that story.
They
Word-
said that's what he was telling.
Really?
Word just spreads. I think it's like the legend of Luke Skywalker. Like
I don't know.
it's kind of how Rey found out on Jakku. I thought he was a myth, like that type of stuff. I think word just kind of spreads what happens.
Well, also, yeah, there's like a telecast across the galaxy.
There's got to
and
be,
stuff
yeah,
like,
like
that.
just
And,
like any war.
Just imagine, like, even though like some random stormtrooper like saw that, he's like, oh, he's probably telling his buddy,
Exactly.
oh my god, Luke Skywalker got shot with 1,000,000 blaster bullets and he didn't die. Like,
exactly.
And you know what's crazy? We've talked about a lot about the legends of Luke Skywalker and how his stories are exaggerated. He just added to, because nobody knows that he wasn't really there other than maybe Kylo, and so now everyone thinks that he took on all those blaster bullets and survived,
which is awesome. Why don't we get to that scene?
And we haven't really talked.
Yeah,
about
why don't we
yet.
get to the salt planet of Crate and kind of this is right after the First Order finds out that the Resistance is fleeing. They shoot down a bunch of their ships, and so we kind of get to the Resistance planting down their feet at an old Rebel base. The First Order's coming after him. This is the big sequence in all the trailers. It's fun because it kind of calls back to Hoth in ways, very much ways, obviously.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But this is different because the Resistance has about 43 people to their like they are minimal.
Oh, less
they are
than that.
minimal. Like there is nobody for this army. But Luke returns, and at the time, now that we don't know this, but Luke returns. He's got a short little haircut. He comes to Leia. They have their meeting once again. We kind of see Carrie Fisher and Mark Hamill on screen again, and then like Jacob has been mentioning, but he comes out to face Kylo because he knows he needs to. That's what he is set to do. He has to do this. He takes on what seems like millions of blaster bullets from the new First Order AT-ATs, and I forget what they're called, but they're basically the new AT-ATs. After the smoke clears, Luke is still standing there. Like a total badass. We have no idea how. Kylo comes down. He's like, set me down. Let's get down there. They come face to face. They go at it for a little bit. Luke does some Matrix stuffs. Little do we know, Luke is force projecting himself across the flipping galaxy from Octo while he's levitating above a rock. This shows many things. Obviously, I mean, it shows that Luke is he is the most powerful Jedi to ever live. His connection with the Force is more powerful than anyone. But the conversation between Kylo and Luke has many answers and relevance. Obviously, he was trying to get the Resistance away. He was stalling, but he knows that Kylo. He's just trying. I don't know, man. It's hard because Luke is gone now. In ways, anyway. In ways, and
it's
so.
tough, yeah.
What did you think that was kind of handled? Like how it was handled? The confrontation. Did you like that he was not a Force ghost, but projecting himself? Yeah. Did you like the result that happened? For a moment, we thought Obi-Wan Kenobi all over again. So what did you think of that scene overall and kind of how it played out?
Like we talked about before, it's like weighing your expectations against what really happened. So, of course, I wanted Luke to really be there and to see him and Kylo clash lightsabers, like literally. That's not what we got, so I have to look at it the way it is. Mm-hmm. And regardless of my wants, it's beautiful. It was handled beautifully. It made sense because what is Luke gonna do? Pull his X-wing out of the water and then hop
for a moment I thought he was going to,
and then just fly back over there real quick. Where to get a haircut? Trimmed his beard. Got some hair dye, some beard dye, whatever. Like I can't. I'm mad at myself for not realizing that he really wasn't there. I'm mad at myself because there's so many hints.
Yes.
But the way it's handled was perfect. Like we're not gonna get what we want, and it's like the way they did it. He didn't do it for no reason. He did it to make sure that so the Resistance could live on. So Rey, so Leia, and the most important people who can eventually build another rebellion and take down the First Order could live on. And he rejected to do it himself, so he had to save the people who were going to do it. So I thought it was great.
I love not just like how it kind of played out physically, but the dialogue that they gave Mark Hamill in that specific scene, saying like, "You're wrong. Mm-hmm. I'm not the last Jedi. Like the Resistance will move on there." And he didn't use resistance. He actually said rebellion, which is interesting.
Rebellion is reborn.
Yes, which is a
Rebellion
really cool
is
callback.
reborn. I am not the last Jedi.
Oh,
yeah,
so cool.
And it
so
shows Rey.
but no, it's a really cool sequence, and Kylo, he went crazier than he ever has in that scene. He's gone complete psychotic, like, and you know, I think it plays out beautiful. I love the line where it says "See you around, kid." Obviously calling that he's going to be back at some point in time.
That's a Han Solo line.
Yeah,
right?
so it is.
Hope, right?
It is.
When he leaves initially, because
it is.
And Luke did that on purpose. Like
yeah.
he knew he was quoting Han Solo.
And so we'll see him back in some capacity, but this leads to everything going forward. That conversation between them two, because it points to Rey. And I love the line where she's like rocks, you know, while like she pulls up a bunch of rocks or whatever.
Rocks,
but
yeah.
And we're skipping over kind of a bunch of stuff, but it's just kind of like there's so much going on in this moment.
I'm sure we could shoot.
There's so much going on in this moment, and obviously the moment of Luke having a vision of the Tatooine suns in front of him, and kind of just being pulled away by the wind as the Force goes.
Yeah.
It was a beautiful end.
It was.
It was a sad end because obviously Luke Skywalker isn't physically there anymore.
But we're gonna see him back.
We are gonna see him
like
back.
All hope is lost, you know.
No,
it's
and
like
we are gonna see him back in, just like we saw in this movie, and we glazed over this, and we're gonna go back to it. But Yoda is a Force ghost, and he was in the physical world by pulling down lightning.
Well, and so I don't know if we've learned this before, but when you project yourself in the Force, you can physically touch things. He smacks Luke on the nose with his staff. You hear the staff hit his nose.
Well,
so like
in the original trilogy, Obi-Wan sits on a
down
log.
on a bench, so it's like, how much can they do? You know,
exactly.
But yeah, so it's crazy. But seeing Yoda back was just amazing.
Yeah, like that. It was used perfectly. Like it was used so small, or it wasn't just used. It wasn't used too much. It wasn't used too little. I love the way he looked as well.
It was
classic
Yoda, yeah.
It was classic Yoda.
It was a beautiful moment.
And
like,
it was
them
fantastic.
Sitting down together.
Exactly, and so I'm really excited they used Yoda in this capacity. I was really hoping for an Obi-Wan Kenobi pop up at some point, which would have been really cool. Doesn't mean it can't happen in the future.
Oh yeah.
But let's kind of go back just a little bit because we did glaze over one moment that I completely forgot about. Thank you, Brian, for this. But the Phasma stuff, and when Finn gets captured. Finn, Rose. Turns out that DJ, Benicio del Toro's character, after working together, they get on the Dreadnought. They're working to hack the hyper beam tracker. DJ turns out to be not a spy, but he gives away their stuff after like being caught. He's like, oh, I'm not gonna kill myself. You know, I'm gonna do what I need to do to survive, basically. But then Phasma shows up and they have that fight we've seen in the trailer. Personally, Phasma's been so disappointing the way they use her, and it's so unfortunate.
I'm so disappointed in Phasma.
It sucks because she was such a I remember that first initial picture popped up of her from The Force Awakens in front of the blown up temple, and she just looked like a total badass. And she had less of screen time in this movie than she did in The Force Awakens.
I know, that's what I'm saying. And so Brian and I did the novel. We read the novel, listened to it. I thought this novel was telling us Phasma's going to be a big part of Star Wars going forward. She's the biggest badass in the galaxy. No,
not even close.
All.
She got beat by Finn.
Yeah, there's no way. There's no way even their fight that happened ever would have happened. She should have knocked Finn out in 2 seconds, and the way she's trained, like, she would have not even let Finn hit her that way. Like, what they showed us in the novel, like, it just...
And that's between The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi.
So, it doesn't make sense to me.
The thing I'm holding out for, I know Jake hates this theory, is in the book, Jacob will be able to agree with me, is that they repeat many times, she will do anything to survive.
I don't think she's dead.
I don't think she's dead either. And I told Jake this.
No, I don't think she's dead.
What if she comes back, the armor is melted to her, and she's just this monster thing now?
That'd be
Jake hates it. I love it.
I don't know about that, but I've thought to myself, like,
I don't want to see her back. I don't want to see her back.
No, I agree actually, because don't fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, shame on you. Fool me 3 times, no. Like, don't bring her back. Like,
it's like crying wolf, man. Like,
but I thought about that. I could totally see Phasma surviving that.
Ryan Johnson said she's the cockroach of the Star Wars universe. that she's...
Did he say that?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah,
she's not dead.
He showed me some comments.
She's not dead.
So...
And knowing what I know about Phasma, somehow, whether she has like a latch or something like that, she could have survived that.
I feel like they can't not ever show her face. But then, well, actually, then again, they never did show Boba Fett's face.
Well, they showed her eye, which is
yeah.
interesting. Like, the first time we've seen that kind of character.
I wouldn't be surprised if she's still alive. I'm just saying that.
Just let her be, man. She's been a bust. She's been the bust from the beginning. And just, like, move on. Like, her scene in this movie, like, you literally could not have even shown it and the movie wouldn't have been affected.
Oh, yeah, not at all.
At all.
Yeah.
I would have been fine with him just saving her and not using her and waiting till the
Because
ninth one.
like, J.J. Abrams used her better, but it still wasn't good. This was just terrible.
Well, like, that opening scene of The Force Awakens,
yeah.
it was a good scene with her.
Yeah.
But then the ending scene was bad, but I thought about that too, Ron. I don't think she's dead. Like, if
I'm holding out hope. I love that character.
Like, do you think she comes back for the First Order, or does she come back on her own?
She
wants to kill Finn.
She never had... One thing they make very clear in the books, her allegiance is to herself and no one else. So, I would not be surprised she comes back and she just literally is on a one-man mission to kick the shit out of Finn.
I would hate that.
Or something. Anything.
I'm okay with her surviving somehow, or just let her die. That's fine with me too. But I wouldn't be surprised if she's alive. Honestly.
What do we think about Benicio del Toro's character, though? We kind of just... It is the first time I read that they used the word slicer in the movie.
Did they?
He is not a code breaker. He is a slicer. That's what they referred to him as.
Well, they use slicer in canon a lot.
But it's the first time they've ever said it in a movie.
Yeah.
I, personally, for me, I felt like Benicio he didn't even play this role. It could have been someone else because he wasn't... It didn't really, like...
Who was the character? Are we ever going to see the character?
Yeah,
again?
I felt like...
Probably not.
Give Benicio del Toro a bigger role if you're going to give him in Star Wars.
on the movie.
Yeah, like...
Other than showing Finn trying to teach Finn some type of lesson, you know?
Yeah, he was also an unfortunate part of this film for me because I was like hoping for something so big with him because he's Benicio del Toro, but it just felt like it was such a small role. Like they didn't give him really anything to do, and I didn't mind the stutter.
I didn't hate or love his character.
Like I didn't mind like really him. I felt like the role. The role itself, like, it wasn't meaty enough.
It didn't mean anything.
Yeah. It really didn't.
Like, the character has no significance, but I didn't mind the performance.
No, His
performance was awesome. The fact that he could do that stutter thing, it was...
Yeah. He's a great actor. We know that for sure.
And I'm just bummed that that's his Star Wars role.
He's like another Captain Phasma.
Like, that's his Star Wars role.
Well, if you think about it, like, that's another Captain Phasma. Like, what did he do? What significance did he have? Nothing. And we were excited about Gwendolyn Christie playing Captain Phasma. Yeah. Benicio del Toro playing DJ, and he looked great in the
And he's been so mysterious, and he has like a one-shot comic coming out and like all this stuff, but it's just like it wasn't meaty enough. Like this is Benicio del Toro.
Like with this, they have something in mind for this character. What is he gonna do in Episode 9? Like what possible role could he play?
They bring him back.
No, I don't think so either. But like, why get Benicio del Toro then? Like for that role, you could have got.
Like, we'll never see him in Star Wars again.
Yeah, so what's the point? Yeah.
Potentially.
It sucks. Well, as someone else.
But what is he
like, that
do?
is who he is forever.
What is his character going to do? Because, let's say the Resistance needs help again. He's just going to betray them.
Well, they would go after him, if anything, for revenge before they would use him again.
That's what I'm saying. So, like, when he's not going to join the First Order, like, he's going to have no role.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Well, I mean, I think we've covered pretty much all of the bases. I mean, we could talk about the whole Luke stuff and everything as much as we want, but I guess going on to the end of the film, Kylo Ren is now Supreme Leader. He is the leader of the First Order. We know that from the end of the movie that the Resistance does have allies somewhere, and that is teased in Battlefront 2, the game. If you have not played the gameplay, I know you haven't played the gameplay, but it is teased in Battlefront 2 that there is someone out there in the Outer Rim / Wild Space waiting for the Resistance. In the movie, no, but they don't get a response. Leia has allies out there, and so it's pretty much leading into an all-out war for Episode 9
They're gonna
because
have to build the Resistance up. Again.
Well, in the First Order, they have people out in the Outer Rim as well.
Yeah,
and they're hiding out in. Rey Sloane is becoming a major possibility for this 9th movie, and J.J. Abrams, he likes canon a lot, so it's a good possibility that you could see your girl in this movie.
I would love to see her in the movie. I think I have one great question for us to like top this off with. Is Rey going to rebuild the Jedi Order? Because she took the books, the Jedi texts,
she did.
from the Jedi Temple on Ahch-To.
Here they hinted at that more than just with Rey taking the books. In Yoda's conversation with Luke, he says the old Jedi way doesn't work. The greatest master to ever live for the Jedi said, the Jedi Order is dead. It does not work anymore. You have to do something new.
Her own version of the Jedi Order.
I think it's going to be... It's going to be... You can call it the new Jedi Order from the Legend stuff, but I think she's going to rebuild in some way, but I think she has a long way to go to do that because she's so young.
Oh, absolutely.
The new great Jedi Order.
I personally think that the 9th movie will be a flat-out Rey versus Kylo Ren movie.
Episode 9 is going to have nothing to do
with
her.
I was telling...
There'll be little hints.
When I was telling Brian this, like, if they do come back for a new trilogy, which I think they will, like, I think it's inevitable, whether it's 5, 10, 15 years away. I think Episode 9 could end with Rey beating Kylo Ren disappearing, going to the Sith planet, rebuilding the Sith while Rey rebuilds the Jedi, and then kind of coming to a heat in a new trilogy.
Well, I loved your idea that it ends the movie with his eyes turning yellow.
Yes, he turns yellow and he's officially a Sith.
Yeah, and the thing he's been
everything he's been doing these 3 movies leads up to him being a Sith.
Away from being a Sith, and he ends up being one.
Yes,
because I've been thinking about this all along. Like, so we went from like the Old Republic to like the prequel era where there was a bunch of Jedi, a bunch of Sith, or you know what I mean. So why not? Everything goes in circles. We went through this era for so long where there's only 1 or 2, 3 or 4 Force users around. And now come back to where there's a bunch of Sith and Jedi, and like everything goes in circles.
Why couldn't the Knights of the Old Republic? Why did that take place 5,000 years before? Why can't it take place now?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
No, give me my separate story.
I'm not saying that story doesn't take place, but I'm saying why can't Sith armies and Jedi armies take place now?
That's what I'm saying.
Fine. Like, don't touch my Old Republic.
Have this story conclude with Episode 9, Rey vs. Kylo, and then
take years off. Let them build.
Even if it's 10 years, and you jump 10 years later, and Rey and Kylo have built, they each have Force users on their side. I want to see a war between Force users.
I think that's what we're going to get for Episode 9, except not so much with lightsabers.
It's going to be a straight war film.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's going to be a war film.
Yeah.
It's going to be Resistance versus First Order. It's going to be Rey versus Kylo. There's going to be all kinds of stuff going on in this film. Well, I mean, final thoughts. I mean, just give kind of a quick recap of what you thought of The Last Jedi before we get out of here. Perfect timing on this one. Jacob, go ahead and, how much do you love The Last Jedi? And actually, why don't you give it a score, too?
Yeah, I do. I love the movie a lot. And, of course, I'm going to because it's a Star Wars film. I do have my problems with it. I didn't get too much into them, but, like, there are problems with the film. And just like any movie, I had problems with The Force Awakens. But I'm satisfied giving The Last Jedi an 8.5 out of 10. I think
whoa, that's lower than I was expecting.
I'm
Get
not
out of here.
like.
But again, this could grow as he watches it.
There's moments in this movie that are some of the greatest movies or greatest scenes I've ever seen in my life. But overall, as a film, like I still right now, I like The Force Awakens more.
Oh,
right now, but the new movie's new to me. I'm gonna watch it.
It's been 3 days.
I'm gonna watch it.
It has been
times.
3 days.
I'm not ready to. The Force Awakens is one of my favorite movies of all time, and I'm not ready to say a movie that I just watched is better than it. So for me, I'm happy with the 8.5. I think I gave The Force Awakens a 9 or 9.5. But I'm ready but this can change.
Yes,
it can change.
Brian,
10 out of 10.
Oh my God!
Absolutely amazing. The only thing I would
I'm so happy you feel that way. I'm so happy you feel that way.
The only thing I would knock it for would be the Canto Bite stuff, which would lower it by like 0.5 at most. But it might potentially be my favorite of all the movies, which is saying a lot.
We'll probably do a separate Star Wars video where we rank our Star Wars
we can.
franchise.
But I like you guys have said, you've already seen it twice. I've only seen it the one time, so that could change. But as of right now, easily my favorite of them. probably just because of that fight scene in the middle.
It's
of the movie.
amazing.
It's just that.
No,
good.
that scene tips the boat one way for sure.
And to give you, I know it was driving you nuts a little earlier. Broom Boy is connected to from a certain point of view.
That's what it is.
Oh.
Yes, that's what it is.
Oh, now that you say that
So,
name, the SAG name.
it's
Oh,
the-
you want to spoil this? I haven't even heard.
No, there's a story about the mouse droid.
Yep, that's what it was.
There's
Oh,
a mouse
really?
droid. That reread it. Yes, that's what it is. I was thinking of books in the past, but it's the book I just read, literally.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So going back to Last Jedi, for me, I did my written review today. You can see that on apocalypsemovies.com. I gave it a 9.5 out of 10. I thoroughly enjoy this film. Again, we just saw it. We're very fresh. It is one of my favorite Star Wars movies. I talked about this in my written review. I love the themes that it's the themes that it has, the meaning. It's about heroism. It's also about learning lessons of failure, because there's failure all throughout this film. The characters, the direction it goes, the surprises, the twist, everything that is kind of embedded in this film. I commend Rian Johnson to the fullest because of the risk he took with this film. It is remarkable how different it is from Star Wars movies. We have never seen something like this. As far as franchises go, this may be one of the biggest outliers to a franchise we've seen, because of, like, watch The Force Awakens and this movie back to back, and it's night and day.
I think that's a good thing,
It
though.
is. It very much is.
I don't want two movies back to back to feel the same.
Totally,
You know what I'm
totally
saying?
agree. And so,
Yeah.
yes, The Last Jedi, it is worth every moment, every cent you pay for it. Go watch this movie. Thank you for listening to our spoiler discussion. We really enjoyed doing this. Check us out on apocalypsemovies.com, of the Apocalypse YouTube channel. You can check out Jacob, Brian, and myself on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, the YouTube channel every week. Obviously, 2018 is right around the corner, and we got some big plans for 2018. We're going to try and ramp up the consistency for you guys. Head down to the comments. Let us know what you thought of The Last Jedi. We love having conversations about this. We might end up doing another one of these after like 5 more views. Who knows? Because The Last Jedi is worth talking about over and over and over again because of everything it holds. So, again, thank you for joining us. And until next time, may the Force be with you.